Things change, people change, nothing ever stays the same, and I'm starting to finally understand that Drake album. But people love to stay in their bacon blanket bubble wrap, never having to worry about the outside world and remaining in a constant. Well, that's just not how the world works. Being able to adapt to the change is what will make you a better person. And while you might not like it at first, hey, you might even grow to like the new changes around you, whether it's in people, things, or places, or whatever you see fit. I think this can be very relatable to Yu-Gi-Oh! As that makes you a stronger human. What makes you a stronger player is to be able to adjust to the new cards. The 2019 August Megatins were huge, phenomenal, some might say, giving us 2 new cards to help combat those break my board strategies that have been a problem for Yu-Gi-Oh! For years. Consider your board broken now, like officially. That does shake up the meta. And in this video, we'll be talking about the 2019 September meta and what decks we think are on the top because of it. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then want to destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. Without further ado, I present to you the top decks of the September 2019 format.
Alright, so can we talk about how you just said bacon blanket bubble wrap in this video?
Alright, so I'm gonna give y'all a hot take, like a real hot take. And some people might unsubscribe from what I'm about to say. Bacon is disgusting.
Boy.
Like, it's the worst thing. Like, it's just, like, pork is disgusting. But we're not even gonna talk about that. Bacon is just, no.
You look like you drink cereal and eat milk.
Boy, I know we not talking. I know we not boiling like you drink carnation milk looking ass, boy.
You look like Kofi Kingston younger brother coffee.
Oh! Before we start talking about the best decks of the format, I think it's only fair that we addressed what has changed in this format. The big card is being Nibiru the Primal Being. It is the better of the two because it can tribute all monsters on the field if the opponent normal summons or special summons more than 5 times in a turn. Normally you give your opponent a token, actually all the time you give your opponent the token, but the token doesn't equate to what you just got rid of on your opponent's side of the field if played correct. Then on top of that you can put the token in defense position, which is yeah, they can have a really big beefy Toki monster, but it can be easily destroyed with monsters like Nightmare Cerberus. The next card is Dark Ruler No More. This card is actually really powerful. I think it's the stronger of the two because it can prevent all of your opponent's face-up monsters from activating their effects. Now granted, it doesn't stop graveyard effects or hand traps, nor does it stop back row, but Nibiru wasn't going to stop any of those cards anyways. Both of these cards are meta changing, and players really do hype them up as the next coming of TheCaliEffect. Regardless, I don't think they're that powerful, but we do have to put some respect on their name. One of the biggest losers since the induction of these two cards is Pendulum. Pendulum feels like one of those strategies that Konami just keeps nerfing and nerfing again. Ever since it had complete control of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game in Master Rule 3, Master Rule 4 coming around, completely nerfing the mechanic, Electromite, giving the strategy complete reign over the format, then the limitation of Electromite, and now these two cards. Pendulum has gone through dark times, but Pendulum players have already grown accustomed to being hit time after time again. This break my board type deck will go through another change, probably even introduce Zephyr cards into the strategy, because cards like Zephyr Divine Strike can handle Dark Ruler No More, and you can search hand traps. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. Regardless, I don't think that Pendulums are in a terrible spot, but Nibiru does pose to be a threat to the strategy. Another strategy, if it had to take the cake, I think this is the biggest loser, is Danger, Thunder Dragon, Crusadia, Chaos, Guard Dragon, whatever it wants to call itself. This deck is comprised of nothing but monsters, meaning that when your opponent activates Dark Ruler No More, there's never a response. And to make matters worse, this deck plays no hand traps whatsoever. So imagine having a board full of Thunder Dragon Colossuses and all the other cards that you want and losing to a Dark Ruler No More. Now there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you can activate a card from your hand, you can chain your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, targeting the Dark Ruler No More. Because Dark Ruler No More says cards cannot activate in response to the card, As long as you can activate a different card, you can then chain some of your monsters to negate those effects. There you have it, Thunder, Danger, Crusadia, Guard Dragon players. That's your out to Dark Ruler no more. Nibiru is a completely different problem that I'm just not going to get into. The last biggest loser, and I don't think this deck lost 50 pounds or anything more than that, is Solomon Great. Solomon Great ironically needs enough summons to trigger off a Nibiru. And while Dark Ruler no more doesn't really affect it, losing all of your monsters to gain a big token that you can't do anything with is problematic. That's to say it at best. I think Solomon Great can come back from this because they do have extenders that they just don't play. One being Will of the Solomon Great, which allows you to spell some of your solid monsters back to your side of the field for free. Maybe this card needs to start being abused more, so when you do get Nibiru, you can still continue on with your play. The thing that I do want to talk about is that Nibiru might not hurt this deck as much as it hurts the other two, because on an already established board, Nibiru doesn't really mean nothing to Solomon Great. You can play the deck really slow, and you don't have to rely on summoning 5 monsters in one turn to finish your opponent off. It's just the fact that your monsters need to gain their effects by using the monster of the same link material that can be really problematic later on down the road if your opponent does break your board. Now that we're done talking about losers, trust me, there's a lot of losers, especially when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You change the game. The winners has to go to Altergeist. I personally feel that Altergeist is one of the best decks of the format, even before Nibiru. It's a deck that summons probably 2 monsters max per turn. Nibiru is literally no threat. And Dark Ruler no more negates all your monster effects, well that's great. I just so happen to have 5 face down trap cards to use, so go ahead and negate my Multi-Faker Silquitos. Altergeist are still really powerful. Protocol negates your opponent's monster effects. Infinite Impermanence still negates opponent's monster effects, but the most important thing is that Multi-Faker chains off all this. Now you thought that the limitation of Multi-Faker was unwarranted. It started like it was necessary because it would have been a deck that would have just overtook the format in my opinion. Boy, you look like a Siberian battle roach.
Boy, with your hair up, you look like the weekday. With your hair down, you look like the week.
I'm dead! The next strategy with a considerable boost is True Draco. Who would have thought that, a card that stops your opponent from summoning multiple times doesn't stop a deck that summons multiple times? True Draco can summon probably up to 3 times per turn, and they're really huge monsters. And when I say 3 times per turn, I'm like, man, what are you doing? You're going far. Like, chill. So many monsters. The deck is very slow paced in that aspect, meaning that it can dodge Nibiru and the monster effects. I mean, if you activate a monster effect, I'll activate a monster effect, I guess. The deck does not lose to stuff like that. And even better, it can use stuff like that. Having monsters or spell cards to be able to disrupt your opponent so you can continue to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Wait, it's almost like the deck already has that. Huh. I guess True Draco was a little ahead of a time, wasn't it? Subterror is another deck that, I mean, seriously, like, do we really have to talk about Subterror? It's like Altergeist. If you play Subterror versus Altergeist, that is probably the most toxic match in Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going at a time every single time. They like play all of the similar cards. Like the thing is, the difference between these decks is, do you want to play There Can Be Only One? If you don't, then you play Altergeist. If you do, then you play Subterror. I don't want to explain any more about this strategy. Sky Striker is easily the biggest winner of this deck. Not only was it already one of the best decks of the format, it got more cards. Like, what monsters? Seriously, you got Sky Striker, Ace Ray, and then you got Kagari. Like, any other monster past that and Shizuku, I don't even know if they're summoned or even exist. The deck is... there might need to be another nerf coming up really soon. It's still there. Boy, you look like Stuart Little. Boy, oh boy, you look like Sid off Ice Age. Boy, you built like Post Malone. If you don't get out of here. Yeah, go. I got jokes, bro. You see, when the hand like this, it's a roast. If we're talking about decks that didn't necessarily gain or lose from these 2 cards, it has to go to Orcus. Orcus, literally. Like, I mean, you think about it. By the time you can Nibiru your opponent, they already have Orcust Nightmare in the graveyard. So you just gave them a token, and then they go Orcust Nightmare to Harper to summon Skeleton, make the Galtea, and they're pretty much doing the same thing. Dark Ruler or no more, I mean, it's okay, I guess, if they don't have Crescendo, or it just doesn't, it isn't optimal against this strategy. But, I mean, there's always Artifact Lancia and, you know, the other cards that stop this deck, so who really cares? If I had to make a list of the best decks of the format right here and right now, with these two cards in the format, I'd put Dinos there. Okay, all right, you guys got me. But look, there's a cool thing. Miscellaneous Saris prevents your opponent from tributing your monsters with Nibiru. Yeah, you didn't think about that. Dino becomes a lot more playable, huh? You're looking at Dino a little different, huh? Yeah, that bottle of Henny starting to hit right. The worst, best deck, I mean, it's still pretty playable, is Pendulum and Danger, Crusadia, Guard Dragon, Thunder Dragon. That deck's still pretty good. I mean, you can still make those boards turn game one. No one's going to main board these cards, and if they do, like, seriously. Like, were you like born with no manners? You toxic sack of shit.
Hey, you don't get demonetized any more curse words.
In game 2 and 3, you probably might want to play as if your opponent is playing them. I mean, they are Megatin promos, a little easy to get. Next would definitely be Solomon Great. I feel that it's quite a big gap between Solomon Great and the other two decks that I just stated. Mainly because Solomon Great can actually play Nibiru and Dark Ruler no more and not really have to worry about this. I mean, the deck can mainboard it. It can be toxic. It can do stuff like that. Oh my God, I just had a good idea. I'm gonna be toxic. That's gonna be me. I like being toxic now. Solomon Great is going to be great because all of the space that you just have to put other cards into it. Let's just put it that way. Right after would have to go to a three-way tie between Altergeist, True Draco, and Subterror. I mean, pick your poison. Seriously, do you want to play There Can Be Only One? Ironically, True Draco can play There Can Be Only One, so like, it really depends on what flavor of the month. If I were an anti-meta player, I would 1 week play Subterror, next week play Altergeist, week after play True Draco. You literally play all of the same cards. I feel like it's the best way to stay budget and unpredictable. Sky Striker moving into that number 2 spot, nothing has changed. Seriously, like, that whole little spill I had in the beginning of the video, it doesn't apply to Sky Striker. They're still doing the same thing. This is a joke. And then lastly, drumroll would be okay, you got me. Orcust is still the best deck of the format. These two cards literally don't hurt it, and while the Dimension Shifter card is waiting in the wings to actually ruin Orcust's day, I mean, again, Artifact Lancia does a better job, and I mean, Orcust is still one of the best decks. So that just goes to show how powerful the deck is. If you guys are looking for easy wins right now, Orcust would probably give you the best bet. Not saying that you'll get easy wins unless you're playing against TJ apparently, but still, moving on, taking shots. You suck, TJ.
Yeah,
Now there are some honorable mentions in this video.
Hold on. Honorable mention, your hairline. Honorable mention, that face. Honorable mention, you ain't shit.
Wow. The only thing I have to say is that you like Randolph Recess when you were a kid. I still got the picture. It's right there, boy. Who really gonna win? Who added the videos, boy? Who added the videos? Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed these videos. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. And if you really did, consider joining our Patreon. We have so many awesome rewards. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.